From downtown Scranton, this is Northeast Current. WQPX invites you to join us as we explore public affairs, current events, and arts and culture in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Now, let's meet today's guests on Northeast Current.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Northeast Current. I'm Charlie Charlesworth, your host. This is part two of our two-part segment with our friends from Friends of Lackawanna. We're here to talk about the Keystone Landfill and its expansion program. Now, this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the environment. Last segment, we talked about the permitting issues and the contract issues with the Borough of Dunmore. There's some nasty stuff that goes into a landfill, and there's some health hazards that are associated with landfills in general. Do either one of you want to elaborate on some of the health issues that occur within a certain
well, the health hazards associated with living near a landfill? Anything that you read about living near a landfill, there's typically higher cancer rates, autoimmune disorders, birth defects, low birth weight. There's a host of things that asthma that are detrimental to your health, that are associated with living near a landfill.
And there have been a lot of studies that back that up. And this area in general has a higher cancer rate to begin with. What that's attributed to, you can make your assumptions, but so we're already starting, behind the 8 ball. And as the landfill expands, those health risks expand with it. And talking about things that go into the landfill. So this isn't, it's a municipal waste landfill, so it takes most of the stuff that we're familiar with, but it's also been approved to take residual waste, which is just very mildly treated hazardous waste. And it also is approved to take fracking drill cuttings and fracking sludge. And what's really concerning about this, among many other things, is particularly the fracking drill cuttings. They have radium in them, and so they're radioactive. And they've been known to set off alarms. They've already, in this particular landfill, have already been registered at elevated levels. And many other landfills in the state won't even consider taking this fracking waste. And we not only take it, we take it in the quantity of 2,000 tons a day. So it's a real distinction between this landfill and many other landfills in the state, because we take such a large amount of fracking waste.
Now, I was told that that it is required that if you do take fracking waste in your landfill, you have to be certified to handle those types of materials. I'm assuming that they are certified to take those materials?
The DEP approved them. In 2011, they approved the drill cuttings, and within the past couple months, they approved the fracking fluid. So I would hope that they are certified, but I have never read anything that said they have extra precautions that they take because they have this type of materials coming into the landfill.
So the DEP has to permit allowing the fracking waste into the landfill, and that's a concern of ours because the DEP is actually a concern of ours. The DEP has allowed leachate, it's been reported, has allowed leachate to leak into our groundwater for over 12 years. They never reported, the public was never informed, it was never reported on EFACS, and the landfill was never fined. So the Department of Environmental Protection, who gets to decide whether or not this egregious 50-year expansion gets to happen, these are the people we have to rely on, who haven't even been telling us that the groundwater has been contaminated for 12 years. So, the fact that they are saying it's safe enough for fracking waste to go into our landfill when so many other landfills are just saying no, doesn't give me a great level of comfort, particularly. There are a lot of things that don't give us a great level of comfort. The DEP also doesn't seem to have any issue with the fact that one of the major studies for this landfill is regarding unstable subsurface conditions. Like many landfills throughout Pennsylvania, which is part of why we have so many, it started filling up the mines, right? And so this area is known for mine subsidence. And so they needed to know before we put a mountain of trash that's going to be as high as, almost as high as Montage Mountain, you know, on this land, we should make sure, you know, the DEP's like, hey, make sure it's not going to collapse, because that would split liners and then environmental disaster. So they asked for a study to be done, more of a study to be done. They weren't satisfied with what had been done. And the company who did the study, it's a good company, I've used them. However, one of the members of the team that did the study is the nephew of the owners of the landfill. So I see that as conflict of interest. I say, why even put any uncertainty into this? There are a lot of qualified engineering firms out there that could do this study. And we spoke to the DEP about it, and they really don't seem to have any concern about that. And you know, again, that sort of makes us feel a little uneasy about the decision being in their hands.
The other issue with the water is that the Dunmore Reservoir number 1 is located 450 feet from the landfill. So that's our backup drinking water, and it's routinely covered in seagulls. And I'm not comfortable that in the event we needed to use it, that it would be safe. And Lake Scranton is covered in seagulls quite often, and that's our water that we drink. So I don't know how rigorous they are in the testings that they do, but just the proximity to the landfill itself, you know, things can just blow into the water. You know, it doesn't have to be, but you can, the landfill is right next to it when you're walking the reservoir. Right, exactly.
Well, I know in any water source, it's 300 feet is actually the required limit. So that's they're not violating anything there, and that's across the board statewide.
Yeah, I mean, you could just imagine the things that could blow into it, and like we said, the seagulls are not native to Northeast Pennsylvania, and they coat all of our local lakes, including the one where I live, and they are known to bring with them. You know, they've landed on the landfill. They are bringing, in their droppings, they're bringing a lot of contamination. So it may be a technicality, but it certainly isn't making our drinking water any safer. And then there's, you know, there are a lot of just Google landfill landslide or landfill fire. You know, there are a lot of potential disasters that could happen with this landfill. There's mine fires, we understand, at less than a few miles from the landfill. And these things are so, remediation, I mean, it takes, if it's even possible, it takes years and years. And who gets ultimately strapped with that bill? It's going, according to our new agreement with Dunmore, which we covered in the last segment, it seems like it'll certainly be the people who end up taking that bill if it happens. So, you know, there's just, everywhere we turn here, I think it had been mentioned, it feels like we're on an island, saying, somebody help us. And our legislators have been, you know, sort of deafeningly silent on this issue, where in other areas, if we can just compare again to other landfills, there's in Berks County and down in Saucon Valley, the legislators were right there with the citizens, you know, writing letters and helping them, you know, to fight the expansions. And, you know, we just feel like we're not getting any support.
No, and the other thing too is Dunmore is an environmental justice area, which means that 20% of the population is below poverty level. And so I feel as though the DEP should be even more vigilant in trying to protect those people, because a lot of them don't have the means, you know, the education to understand the process and the you know, how this is going to impact them. And they are working 2 and 3 jobs and trying to put food on their table, so they don't have time to attend meetings. And I think these are the people that are most vulnerable. And this environmental justice area was created to protect areas where there is lower poverty, because they get taken advantage of. And I believe in my heart that if we were a wealthy area, this would not be taking place. I think that a lot of times when you have low income pockets, they're taken advantage of in terms of big businesses, and they don't have the voice and they don't have the money and the means to fight it. And we have a group of people trying to fight it, and we are getting absolutely no support. Yeah, we were let down by the Dunmore Borough Council that we elected. I have written letters to all the county commissioners. I wrote a letter to Senator Blake, Senator Toomey. I wrote one to Farina, to Kevin Haggerty, Senator Haggerty, or Representative Haggerty, Senator Casey, and the only one that is trying to help us, and this is, we met with him several months ago, is Senator Casey. And these are our elected officials, and they're supposed to be protecting us and our environment, and it's unfortunate that it's not happening, and we have no voice.
We can't tell you how many times we've heard from officials, from anybody we've talked to trying to get help, hey, it's up to the DEP. You know, I can't do anything. I can't get myself in the middle of this. Like, it's in the DEP's hands, actually. Or, you know, people just outright saying to us, you know it's going to happen, right? And no, we don't believe that. You know, we believe that we have a right to protect our environment, and that if we get the support, and we live in the United States of America where we have a right to change things that are unjust, right? So, but one more person saying that, and so the DEP, back to them, gets to make this decision. They've already shown that they're, you know, they've already not protected us by letting the water, the groundwater, and that was the first right to know that was pulled. So what else don't we know, right? And then back to conflict of interest, you know, the state makes a lot of money from the landfills in Pennsylvania, and there's a moratorium on new landfills. So if I'm just, I sort of want to ask the question, would there not be an opportunity then to want landfills to expand? You know, if the state, and with the DEP being a state organization, isn't that a conflict right there? So everything that the organization we're relying on the most, you know, just does not have a good record right now, especially where landfills are concerned, of being concerned about the citizens and stopping, you know, egregious expansions from happening. And none are as egregious as this 50 years.
No. And also, too, the whole point to the fracking, other landfills will not take this. And Keystone is accepting it, and they get more money per ton because of its hazardous components. And so the landfill is benefiting by getting more money per ton, and it's exposing us to even more chemicals and toxins. And it's unfair. I mean, there's essentially no one protecting us. And everyone that we go to, they say, we can't help you, it's up to the DEP. So it's up to the DEP, who told people in Dimmock whose faucets they were able to light on fire from the fracking, that their water was safe. So we have no faith in the DEP. And they allowed the landfill to leak, and they never notified the citizens. They never cited them. They didn't even report it on their agency's fact sheets that they're supposed to report it. So who do we trust? We have no one.
Who holds them accountable? And that's what we're asking our legislators to help us do. And that's why we need it. There is evidence that when the people really speak out, that it can make a difference. And that's, you know, because that's what it seems like needs to happen now.
Well, we need public outrage.
We need public outrage. We need people to be here with us.
It's just, I'm going to ask the same question I asked the other group. The garbage has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Is there a halfway point? Is there a meeting point that
well,
business and society can meet and agree on something?
Well, I agree the garbage has to go somewhere. I mean, that's logic. However, there are thousands of acres in remote areas that you could put the garbage. Right now, Keystone is sitting in the middle of thriving communities where thousands of people live, and we breathe that air. So why not be more sensible and put it in an area that's isolated, that it's not going to affect humans as this is?
And the truth is, municipal waste rates are going down. You know, that is why the landfill in Taylor has so much more room. Because people's societies change. There's a lot more recycling. People are and that's really what we all should be doing, right? I mean, we should be trying to recycle. We should be watching our sort of habits that create waste. That's the first and foremost, and it's having an effect. You know, those things are going down. I believe a big part of this expansion is the fracking waste. I think you're going to see that going up and up and up and up as time goes on. So I do believe that because municipal waste rates are going down, there are going to be a lot of other places for this garbage to go.
Well, out of the in-state garbage that comes in, so it's roughly 35%, almost 40% of it is fracking. Right. So the landfill is taking over 60% of out-of-state garbage, and then 30-some% of in-state of which almost 40% is fracking. So we're going to be dying, and it's not even going to be our own garbage that's killing us. It's going to be out of state in the fracking.
So we've said before, like, when does it end? We have more than done our fair share. Okay, we've had garbage coming in from out of state. We've taken New York, New Jersey's garbage, Pennsylvania's for years, and Connecticut's for years and years, and it's in the middle of a thriving residential community. I mean, literally a stone's throw from houses, right? Like, and so we just believe there are places that are better suited to take it, and we've done our part. We've done our part.
Yeah, I agree. I have grave concerns about the amount of waste coming, especially from the fracking, in our air, the air we breathe, and our water. It's not only our drinking water, it's the water we bathe in, we bathe our kids in, the water we brush our teeth with. Our skin's our largest organ. We're absorbing all those toxins. And so, yeah, I agree. I mean, at some point it has to stop, and there are other places that it can safely be disposed of, you know.
And if it didn't stop now, when would it? So when 50 years, okay, now let's say the expansion happens, and you know what? They filled it up faster than they thought, you know, and so now you've got the mountain the size of Montage, and they want to expand again, and you know there's a lot of land next to it or over here, so then that happens, and they want to expand again, and then when does it stop? When can somebody finally say enough? Because under the current regulations, it could really expand for eternity. I mean, there is no way to stop it.
Well, we're getting short on time now. I want to ask you a direct question. When there's going to come a time when DEP is going to make a decision. If the decision is to permit and approve the permit for the expansion of the landfill, what's your next step? What do you anticipate?
Well, we have, on our own and with contributions, hired an environmental lawyer, and he's taking us through this process. His name is Jordan Yeager, the firm of Curtin and Hefner. He's excellent, and we'll follow his advice, which I believe would be an environmental hearing board. You know, that we would definitely continue to fight this and not stop until this expansion is stopped.
Allison, you have any other concerns that you have?
Besides the health concerns of the community and for generations to come, not only the immediate health concerns, but we're talking 50 years plus here. No one can possibly predict the impact that is going to have on this region from a health perspective, not only the cost, but what that might mean for our future generations. So that's really concerning. And we would really love to see more people get involved and stand with us, as the others said, that we really need everyone to get involved.
Now, all three of you are Dunmore residents?
Yes, I am a Jefferson Township resident, and I think that speaks to the fact that this is not just a Dunmore issue. This is a Northeast Pennsylvania issue. I moved back here, probably 12 years ago now, started a business here. I have been this area's biggest cheerleader since day one, right? I have been so excited to see all the people who've been moving home, all the new shops, particularly in Scranton, all the shops that have opened. We have been on a roll, and this will turn back the clock. I was part of a group who brought we were known for the office convention, having the office right here in our, fictionally based in Scranton. The show and all the actors came here twice to party with us, and Philadelphia Inquirer said Scranton, from cold to cool. That's the perception we were starting to have. And now, this is going to just turn back the clock on all of that. If I were the local universities of higher education, I would be terrified about the enrollment I would be losing from this. The Keystone Office Park, nobody's there anymore, and there's one business up there that told us that they do not want to be in the shadow of this, and if it happens, they're moving. I can guarantee you that anybody who can move out of Dunmore will, and what will happen to the tax base then, right? It's going to slowly, not just destroy our health, but destroy our area, destroy our reputation, and destroy our towns, and that would be the most devastating part of all this, and we just cannot let that happen.
Well, you mentioned the institutions of higher learning. Well, they're going with the flow. They're now offering courses on the Marcellus shale industry.
Right, Lackawanna colleges. Mhm.
You know, so.
Marywood is the one that stands to lose a lot, because with the proximity to the landfill and the height that it's going to reach, they will most certainly get that smell, and they will also be able to see it. So they need to run some numbers, because the amount of kids they're going to lose versus the amount of money that they may benefit from the expansion.
Well, they're a big environmental school. I mean, as far as
that they haven't came up against it, but.
Well, that's what we're saying, and that's why we're here. Like, we need the people who stand to lose so much to be part of this voice, right?
And Scranton stands to lose a lot as well, even though it's located in Throop and Dunmore. And so does Dixon City. Dixon City's done a great job of marketing that Commerce Boulevard. They're bringing in new businesses. You can see the landfill from the mall area. What's going to happen when that doubles in size? You know, it's how are you going to court businesses? Yeah. And I think that's what's going to happen.
The University of Scranton students, a lot of them come from Long Island. What's the first thing they're going to see when they hit, you know, the Scranton area? They're going to see that landfill. That's going to be their welcome sign. So, you know, these are the things that are harder to quantify, and, you know, are going to take longer to realize. But this is what we're handing the next generation. You know, we have an opportunity right now. We're at a watershed moment. If we stop this area has the possibility of continuing on the course that it's on now, attracting the young people coming back, you know, and continuing the revitalization. And if it happens, even the wind will come out of my sails.
I'm not originally from the area, but I do remember a story about the New York Times article years and years back about the first thing you see when you enter Scranton. Yeah. It's sort of duplicitous now. It's the same harmful nature. It painted a bleak picture of a community. It's bad enough Scranton's in the financial straits that it's in without more negative publicity coming. So I understand where you're coming from.
But we need to speak out. We need to speak out, and everybody needs to find their voice and speak out. You know, sorry to get a little emotional, but I really feel this way. You know, there are a lot of good men and women who have fought and, you know, either fought for or fought and died for this country so that we have the right to speak out, First Amendment and against injustice, and that is exactly what's happening here, and I think we honor them and we make our country better by doing so. So I hope all those people speak out with us to protect their area.
And I would encourage people to contact the DEP representatives and voice their concerns to them, and also Senator Casey. He's collecting emails and letters because he's trying to work with the EPA to get involved under the Clean Water Act. So
on friendsoflackawanna.org, there's actually under who to contact a form letter. It takes about a minute to fill out, and it will send it out to everybody who needs to get it.
All right. Well, I want to thank you ladies for being with us today. We're going to take a short break right now, and we'll be right back.